Hello everyone, and now we are going to move on to new topic, heredity. So normally when a baby is born, there is a question whether the baby look like a mother or a father. What is the reason? Why? How is that? So how does the baby look like a mother or a father? It is only through the characters that are transmitted from the parents to the children, right? So the transmission of characters from the parents to the offspring is called as what? Heredity. So what is heredity? Transmission of characters from one generation to the other, or from parents to the offspring. You call it as what? Heredity. So when you learn about heredity, it is a combination, right? So you have to learn about the term variation. So what is the term variation called as? It is differences seen among the individuals. So both this heredity and variation, it is called as what? Genetics. So what is genetics? Again, you have to learn a new term called as genetics. So what is genetics? Genetics is the science of heredity and variation. And this genetics, the term it was first used by W. Bateson. So the term genetics was first used by W. Bateson in 1905. And one more thing you have to remember, the principles of genetics were first discovered by a person who is called as Gregor Johann Mendel. Principles of genetics were first discovered by Gregor Johann Mendel. In short, they will call it as Mendel. Okay. So this Mendel, he was the one who first discovered the principles of genetics. That is the reason here this Mendel, he was the one who first discovered the principles of genetics. So here this Mendel is called as father of genetics. Father of genetics. I hope it is clear. So the term genetics was first used by W. Bateson in the year 1905, and the principles of genetics were first discovered by Gregor Johann Mendel. And next we are going to learn about the speciality about Mendel. And this Mendel, he selected a garden plant which is called as a pea plant. You would have heard about peas, right? Garden peas. So this is the garden peas. Okay, I hope you would have seen this very clearly, right? I think the image is clear for you. Okay, these are the garden peas. So what is the binomial name of garden peas? It is Pisum sativum. Pisum sativum. So the binomial name of pea plant, okay? Pea plant is Pisum sativum. Now one more question. What is the diploid chromosomal number of human being? It is 46, right? The same way, the diploid chromosomal number of this Pisum sativum is 14. Diploid chromosomal number is 14. So what do you mean by the term diploid? It is 2n. Then what about haploid? It is n. So haploid is 7 and the diploid chromosomal number of Pisum sativum is 14. And this Mendel, why did he select pea plant? What is the reason? Because the pea plant, it was very easy to cultivate. and hybridization is very easy. And when you just look at the characters, well-defined characters was seen in this pea plant. And one more thing is, it is predominantly self-fertilization occurs in this pea plant. Okay, that is the reason Mendel has chosen the Pisum sativum. Okay, and very specific, this Mendel, he has studied 7 characters of Pisum sativum. When you talk about the 7 characters, what he has studied is, first one is about the seed. So one more thing you have to remember here, new term called as dominant and recessive. Okay, so the seed shape, what about the seed shape? Whether it is round or wrinkled. So if you just look at the garden peas, right? So you would have seen the garden peas. Okay, see, it is round shape, right? Okay, so round, it is said to be dominant. Okay, so this is dominant and the other one is the recessive. Okay, so round is dominant if it is not proper shape. Okay, it is not, if it is not correct shape, I mean spherical in shape, in that case it will be shrink, right? So in that case you use the term wrinkled. So here wrinkled will be the recessive character. Okay, and next one is what? Color. So what about the color? Yellow will be dominant and green will be the recessive character, right? And next one is about the pod. So what is pod? This is the pod. The whole thing, you call this as a pod, right? Inside the pod, what is present? See, this is the pod, right? When you just remove the section of the pod, when you remove this, see, you can see the peas, right? Okay, so when you just look at the pod, what about the pod? If it is full, right? If it is full correct shape, then it will be a dominant. Okay, then if it is constricted, so what do you mean by the term full? I'll just draw it here. Okay, if it is full correct shape, right? And what about constricted? The same way, here you can see the difference. This is what you call it as what? Constricted. Okay, this is one thing. When you look at the color again, what is the color? What about the color here? It is green. Green is dominant and yellow is the recessive for the pod. Okay, and next one is about the flowers. Flowers. What about the flowers? Violet color. Violet. Violet is dominant, okay, and white is recessive, right? And when you look at the position of the flowers, here this is the color of the flower and next one is the position. What about the position here? It is axial. Axial and terminal. What do you mean by the term axial? If it is found at the side, okay, then you use the term axial. What about terminal, which is found at the top of the stem, right? Top, at the topmost region, you call that to be terminal portion, okay, right? And then next one is the height of the plant. Here, what is that height? Stem. It represents the stem. So what is here? When you talk about here, it is tall, is dominant, and dwarf is recessive. Tall is dominant and dwarf in the sense it represents a short character. This is the recessive character. Okay, and these are the see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so these are the 7 characters studied by Mendel. So what is meant by monohybrid cross? The cross involving single pair of contrasting character is called as monohybrid cross. Okay, so what do you mean by the term mono? One single character, only single character is involved. So what are the 7 characters studied by Mendel? We have learned. So here monohybrid cross, we are going to learn about the cross between tall plant and the dwarf plant. Okay, so only one character he has studied, so that is the reason he is called as mono. Okay, hybrid. So if you cross 2 different plants, the result what you get, you call it as hybrid. So that is the reason here you use the term monohybrid cross. So what is monohybrid cross? Cross involving single pair of contrasting character. Cross involving single pair of contrasting character. Okay, so what did he select? He has selected tall plant and then the dwarf plant. So this is tall and this one is the dwarf. Okay, so here you can see two different letters I have written here, capital T, capital T. Okay, so it is, I have written here capital T, capital T. So these two are called as alleles. So two alleles represent a gene. So what do you use the term? You have to just know about the term allele. So this is an allele. So how many alleles are there? Two alleles are there. So two alleles represent tall. So this is called as a dominant character. That's what we have learned, right? Tall is a dominant character and dwarf is a recessive character. Okay. And here also two alleles are present. So which represents the gene. Okay. What does it represent? It represents for the tall character, right? Now what happened? He has crossed this tall plant with a dwarf plant. So only single character is being selected. Okay. So here when you talk about both are the parents. So what happened when he crossed? One comes from here, the other allele comes from there. So this one you use the term filial generation. So F stands for what? Filial, or the first generation, or F1 generation. So what happens here? 50% of gene comes from the one parent and 50% of genes comes from next parent. Okay, but still you call this to be what? Tall. What do you call this as? Tall. Why? According to Mendel, he has proposed a law called as law of dominance. So what does this law of dominance states here? One allele, okay, it is dominant over the allele, other one. So capital T is dominant over the small t. Okay. So here this character alone expressed, capital T alone expressed, whereas small t is suppressed. Okay. In that case, here this is called as tall. Okay, right? And when you want to find out the F2 generation, here self-fertilization take place. So if the plant is crossed with the same, then here you use the term self-cross. What do you call this as? Self-cross. Okay, so what happens in F2 generation? Here you have to cross it. So how do you cross that? First you take this T. This T you have to multiply with this T. Okay, capital T, capital T. And this T again with the small t, capital T, small t. Likewise, you have to multiply with these t, right? So here small t and capital T, and again small t and small t, right? So what do you call this as? Capital T as tall. And here capital T, small t as what? Tall. And here again capital T, small t, tall. And here small t, use the term dwarf. Okay, I hope you would have understood this. Now what is the main thing what you have to understand here is, you have to find out the two ratios. One is the phenotypic ratio, the other one is the genotypic ratio. So what do you mean by the term phenotype? I'll write it here, phenotype. Phenotype is external character. What do you mean by the term phenotype? External character. So when you just look at the plant, you just say that whether it is a tall one or a short one. Okay, so here how many tall plants are there? 3. Okay. 3, right? And how many dwarf plants are there? Only 1. So here it represents, so 3 plants are tall and 1 is the dwarf plant. So what is the phenotypic ratio? 3:1. Okay. And next one you have to learn about genotypic ratio. So when you talk about this genotypic ratio, you are just going to look at the genes, whether it is capital letter or small letter. Okay, right? This is how you have to find out the genotypic ratio. So how will you write? See how many capital T are there? See, when you just look at this, only 1. Capital T is only 1. So here, if the alleles are same, then you have to call it as homozygous allele. If the alleles are same, it is homozygous. Homo means same. So here, homozygous. So homozygous tall. So how many homozygous tall is present? Only 1. Okay, and next one is, here you can see capital T, small t. So how many are there? 2. So you use the term hetero. Hetero means different. Okay, so heterozygous tall. So how many are there? Heterozygous tall? 2. And next one is, both are same, but it is recessive. Okay, so homozygous recessive. So or homozygous dwarf. So how many are there? 1. So what is the genotypic ratio of monohybrid cross? 1:2:1. So what is the phenotypic ratio of monohybrid cross? It is 3:1. Okay. So what is a monohybrid cross? Cross involving single pair of contrasting characters. Right. Thank you.